After a long and beautiful summer, it's time to get ready to winterize your pool. But what are the steps involved and how are we going to make sure that it's ready to open next pool season? My name is Finney and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent near you, or if you simply want to drop me a line and say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. Alright my friend, let's take a closer look at how to winterize your pool, and it really is going to depend whether you have an above ground pool or an in-ground pool. We'll briefly talk about each and then I'll go into winterization steps for both types of pools. The first thing that we want to consider is preparing your pool for closing. When we're preparing your pool for closing at the end of the season, what are we talking about here? You obviously should be going out and investigating anything around your above ground pool or your in-ground pool for observation of any cracks that may be present and any pipes that might be broken or anything along those lines to fix them before the winter freeze comes in, because it will only expound the problems moving forward. When I'm talking about pipes being broken, if you have like a solar water heating system, those little tubes that kept the pool nice and warm and probably gave you another 2 to 3 months of pool season weather from the beginning to the end of the season. Oh, those bad boys can leak. Trust me, I've had to replace a few of them on my own house. That being said, you want to make sure that those pipes aren't leaking either. We're not just talking about the ones that are in the ground and you got the water flowing and everything else, which would become pretty apparent on an in-ground pool pretty quickly if you had that problem. The second thing is when we're talking about above ground, fortunately with above ground pools, pretty easy just by walking around investigating for cracks in the actual liner of the pool, investigating for cracks in the actual equipment because everything's exposed. All the same, getting ready to close your pool involves the same steps. Make sure that everything is good to go. Check your pool equipment, check your pool pump, check your pool filter, and make sure that there's no cracks. If there are, it is time to get it fixed now before we go into the harshness of winter coming. So now let's talk about swimming pool winterization with 14 simple steps to follow. The first thing that you want to do is to turn off your pool heater. Tip here is to look for the heater in line with the pump and the filter. If it's not labeled, please go ahead and take a magic marker and label it, or take a Dymo printer and label it so that you know which pipe goes to your pool heater. The second thing is to remove your pool's accessories. Any stairs, ladders, rafts, toys, any items that made a sink to the bottom. You want to take all of these out of the pool, make sure they're clean and stored properly to protect them through the winter season, and also ensure they don't get embedded into your pool if your pool were to freeze. The third thing is chemically balancing the pool's water. Now you want to start this with the proper chemicals that help you protect your pool and hard water buildup or corrosion. Obviously as a pool owner, you know about testing and adjusting for the pH, the calcium hardness, the chlorine, the total alkaline levels as may be necessary, and if you don't know, then contact a pool supply store near you and see if you can have a pool service professional come over and help you winterize your pool. The fourth is to get some chlorine shock and use the shock product following the product instructions. Of course, be careful with that stuff. It is highly concentrated, highly potent, as you know, so be careful with that. Now shock is going to raise the chlorine level, and we'll go more into the chlorine specifications in a frequently asked questions section in a moment. The fifth is to run your filter. Allow your pump and filter to run for several hours of at least 8 to 12 hours in duration, or longer if possible, so that you can get everything into the pool after you've shocked it really hard. The sixth is to clean your pool. You want to wipe down, brush the sides of the pool, get it cleaned up, loosen dirt, get any algae and contaminants that are in there out of there. Skim the surface of the water, vacuum the floor, and remove any debris. One thing to remember here as a pool owner myself is that if you leave the algae or other contaminants in your water, then what can happen is permanent staining on the liner of your pool or on your pool decking itself if you don't get to it right away. The seventh thing is winterizing chemicals if you prefer to have them. Now there are specially packaged pool chemicals for winter closing of a pool that make it simple to add the items that you need depending on the pool size. Now broadcast those chemicals from the deep end by walking around the pool, obviously from the deep side to the shallow side. The eighth thing to do is to clean your pool equipment. You want to think about if you have like a automatic chlorinator, it's time to take the chlorine out of there, along with cleaning out their skimmer basket. You should backwash or clean the filter to both of your type of pools, whether you have cartridge filters or DE grids. For reference, a DE grid is a filter that's made with diatomaceous earth. It can be flushed thoroughly with a garden hose fitted to a sprayer nozzle to create enough water pressure to remove the contaminants in either filter type. Now the one that I personally use at home has little fingers on it that get into the actual fins of the cartridge itself, so you can clean out all the dirt, all the old sand, all the old anything that's in there to make sure it's properly ready to go to be winterized. The ninth thing to do is to lower the water level a little bit. Now this really impacts above ground pools because you must lower the water level to a level that will allow you to remove your pump. So drain it below the return line, but never more than 18 inches to prevent any additional stress on your pool cover. It's very, very important to remember that so you don't have any structural damage. Never completely empty your above ground pool. In the case of sunshine states like Las Vegas, Nevada, we need to maintain our pool and just have it run as usual. My system is a variable speed pump that I have on my house made by Pintar, and what it does, it'll automatically kick on when water gets to freezing. Now if you're back east, then you need to be a little bit more careful and examine how best to winterize your overall pool, which will take us to the 10th thing to consider, which is winterizing your pool pump and your water lines. If you have the above ground pool, you can likely and thoroughly drain it through your pump and store it in a protected shelter, removing the flexible water hoses and cap the water line openings to prevent any drainage. Store that equipment in your garage, in your attic, in a safe spot wherever that you would normally put it. Now for in-ground pools, this is really cool because they make a pool antifreeze. Now we're not talking about the antifreeze that goes in your car. You put that into your pool, it's likely going to run it. There's a specialized pool antifreeze, and if you have questions about where to get it, then you want to go to your pool supply store and make sure you're looking for antifreeze that's specifically made for your in-ground pool, not car antifreeze. Then you would like to blow out all your valves and water lines with either a very powerful reverse vacuum or an air compressor, and you can use both a combination, first blowing and then cycling the antifreeze through your lines. With the antifreeze, add the product as instructed and circulate it for at least 2 minutes or as otherwise directed by the product's labeling instructions. Plug all the lines with special winterizing plugs. The last thing that you would do here is blow out the drain underneath the pool from the opposite end before you cap it. When the bubbles appear, immediately cap and drain the line. That will cause a vapor lock that will prevent the drain from gathering water and freezing in some of the harshest winter climates. At the end of the day, whether you're looking at an above ground pool or an in-ground pool, one of the best things that you could ever do is simply contact a pool professional to provide this service to you or to guide you in the best ways to do it. Now, there are a lot of really cool YouTube videos that I've seen out there about people that nerd out on everything to do with a pool, just as I nerd out on everything to do with real estate to help you make sense of real estate. So you might want to watch some of these gentlemen as they clean the pools, whether they're above ground, in ground, and they're telling you what kind of product that you should probably have for your pool. And in fact, I'm pretty certain that there are some of them that put the product links down below in their show more description if you wish to purchase it right from watching that video. Now take a closer look at that and examine it. But if you still say, hey, you know what, I still would be more comfortable if I have somebody out here doing it myself, then go to your pool supply store, ask them if they have somebody or if they know somebody that can come help you winterize your pool to make sure that you're taking care of your pool correctly. When we're talking about winterizing your pool, it normally is associated with 6 frequently asked questions. Let's take a look at each of those. The first one is, when should I winterize my pool? Well, the answer to that question is you generally want to do that when the temperatures are in the 60s and 70s during the day and are starting to get in the 40s in the night, usually around mid-October in most of the United States. But again, if your weather's a little bit different where you live, make sure that you're watching that 60s and 70s during the day, 40s at night, meaning it's time to start winterizing your pool. A lower outdoor temperature will help ensure the chlorine and other chemicals will not dissipate so rapidly as the water starts cooling down. The second is, if you live in a mild climate, do you need to winterize your pool? Well, in the southernmost regions of the country, like I was talking about here in Las Vegas, Nevada, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, it's rarely going to have a hard freeze. So there's little danger of your pool freezing. But in our areas, you still want to continue cleaning and vacuuming your pool as you need and run the filter at least twice daily. Now, you may not need to run it as much as you run it in the summer, like maybe 8 to 12 hours a day during the summer months or longer. Now, during the winter months, you may be able to pull it off with 1 to 2 hours 2 times a day. So it's something to think about. It just depends on the size of the pool and how well you're keeping your pool clean there. At the end of the day, there are benefits of living in a warmer state, not only enjoying the heat and more pool season, but also the fact it's easier to maintain your pool. The third is how to balance your chemicals. Now, as a pool owner myself, when we're talking about how to balance your chemicals, you can choose from a variety of testing kits. We all know this, there's so many of them. As with any of them, you want to make sure that you're reading the instructions carefully to use the exact testing procedure that is being suggested according to the kit. So an aim for most chemical levels is a pH balance of 7.2 to 7.6, an alkaline level of 80 to 120 parts per million, a calcium hardness of 175 to 250 parts per million, and chlorine of 1 to 3 parts per million, or slightly over 3 ppm parts per million, is great for wintertime. A variety of agents will adjust these chemical levels, so consult with your local pool supplier for more information on how best to maintain your pool and get it ready for winterization. Then a fourth question that comes up a lot is, what are winterizing chemicals anyways? Well, winterizing chemicals are designed to help protect your pool water quality during the winter so that it's easier to open and get ready in the spring. Most of these chemicals are not regularly added to your pool water, and you can buy each of these separately or in a kit sized to your pool's capacity. It's a lot easier to do these things, and the best way to do that, of course, is simply going into the pool supplier and asking them, giving them the information about your pool, what the capacity is, and asking them about the product or kit that would be best if you're going to do this alone by yourself. The fifth is antifreeze safe? As we stressed very, very critically earlier, there is a pool antifreeze. We are not talking about a car's antifreeze. You don't want to put that in there. A pool's antifreeze is completely non-toxic. Review your antifreeze options with the pool supplier near you. And the sixth question that comes up, when can I get back in my pool again? That's a great question. From the moment that we close that pool, we normally are thinking about how soon can we get back in it. It really depends where you live in the country, my friend. It really does. If you've got to cover your in-ground pool or your above-ground pool because of colder, harsher climates, then it may be as late as May or June before you're able to get into your pool, or even July. Now, in the warmer areas of the country, whether it's in-ground or above ground, like Las Vegas, Nevada here, and that pool that I have at my house is an in-ground pool. Normally, because I have a solar water heater, I can get ready to reopen my pool for the season right around mid-April, early May. That's generally when the weather is nice enough. We're generally getting into an average temperature around 75 to 85 degrees at night, which helps the water stay warmer. And in the case of Las Vegas, Nevada, when it gets 110, 115 degrees out, if your pool water is 80 degrees, it's like taking and throwing ice cubes on yourself. So that being said, it really depends on where you live. Contact the pool supplier near you, have that conversation with them, and ask them, typically, when are you ready to reopen your pool? Ideally, obviously, you want to make sure the temperatures aren't freezing when you reopen the pool. Leave it covered if that's the recommendation in your area, and follow the advice of your pool supply store and the professional pool companies in your area. All right, my friend, with that out of the way, let's talk about the top 10 fall home maintenance tips that you want to start doing as autumn approaches, and the 8 tips to winterize your home. Looking forward to our next conversation. We'll see you in a few.